Coming up on the Paper Talk today, we're looking at Raphael Varane and Casemiro. Could both of them, both the multiple Champions League winners, be heading out of the Old Trafford door? Could there be some sort of swap deal on the horizon? I don't think so. You may disagree. Let's get into it. Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm outside Old Trafford and it is absolutely freezing. So if you've got a parka, put it on. Loads of Manchester United stories to get through this morning, so we'll crack on. Before we do that though, make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. We want to get 730,000 subscribers, and with your support, yes you, we can get there. I think we can get there by Christmas. Anyway, we'll crack on. First of all, Casemiro and Raphael Varane are facing Manchester United exit. This is according to the Daily Mail, and this says that with incoming owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe ready to make big calls over the struggling star's future. There's a couple of stories doing the rounds regarding Raphael Varane and how he might not be completely happy with his lot in life. Now he seems to have fallen down the pecking order somewhat, has seen Johnny Evans being picked ahead of him in certain games. I think it was the Manchester Derby, was it? Johnny Evans was picked, and it was known to be a tactical decision rather than one based on fitness or injury. That reportedly upset Varane. And also there's been the facts as well that he has struggled with injuries since he arrived from Real Madrid. He's very rarely has a run of like 8 or 9 games without an injury. He just misses the odd game here and there, a couple of longer term injuries. Most of them have been niggles. He hasn't missed huge chunks of the season, but he has missed some of the season, and it seems that the manager is preferring to go with other options, players that perhaps he can rely on more to be fit and available. So yeah, it looks like Sir Jim Ratcliffe could be ready to sanction a sale of the pair if that's the right way of putting it, because I don't think he can come in and make Erik ten Hag sell these players, Casemiro as well of course, but if if Erik ten Hag it doesn't fancy him, or if he wants to raise funds, then maybe Casemiro and Varane could be the way forward to do that. Just on the Casemiro front, there's a couple of stories doing the rounds as well about him, and him potentially isn't a word, potentially moving on. He's been linked with a move away. Both Varane and Casemiro have been linked with moves to Saudi Arabia. I think there was a talk of Varane going to Saudi Arabia in the summer. That obviously didn't happen. I think there's been loose sort of rumours, reports that maybe Casemiro could end up making a move there as well. And there was a story doing the rounds this morning that United, I think it was reported in the Express. I think it was the Express, and it came from Team Talk, I think they quoted, and it basically said that United would be prepared to let Casemiro go for 50 million quid. So that has been the price that United would accept for Casemiro. We obviously paid 70 million for him. He's now 31 years old. It sounds crazy because he has been one of the best defensive midfielders on the planet over the last sort of 7 or 8 years. I don't know if you're going to get 50 million for Casemiro at 31. Maybe you get that if he goes to Saudi Arabia, because they'd be willing, one of those teams will be willing to pay quite a lot for him. But I don't think it's a given because of his age, because as well, his form has dropped off. We've been speaking about this quite a lot recently, speaking about it yesterday on Off the Bar, and it's a question of whether it's his form or we're watching the decline of him, because he's 31, he's played a lot of football, he hasn't had a lot of injuries, he's had a couple of little niggly injuries like Varane has. But you just wonder, don't you, whether this is the sort of the beginning and the end of Casemiro. I hope it isn't. I hope there's a lot more to see from him. I hope he can turn it around here at Manchester United. But this season he hasn't been great. Last season I thought he was very good for big parts of it. There was little spells where he wasn't great. He wasn't helped with the suspensions, some of which were very harsh. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with Casemiro and Varane, but it looks like Sir Jim Ratcliffe could be willing to let them both go. And don't forget as well, there were reports that Sir Jim Ratcliffe, when he visited Carrington, made a point about the Casemiro transfer, how he felt that was a bad transfer because we'd overpaid. We paid 70 million quid for a 30-year-old on a long-term deal, and he felt that wasn't the way transfer deals should be done at Manchester United. So we'll keep an eye on that one and other transfers as well. Just on the defence side of things, we're talking about Raphael Varane now. He's fallen down the pecking order a little bit. It doesn't seem like he's favoured. Harry Maguire's gone the other way. He's now sort of flavour of the month. Ole Gunnar Solskjær's been talking about him recently. He was quoted, and I think it was in Nattavisen Sport. I think that's a Scandinavian outlet, I'm not quite sure. It says, I've kept in touch with him and I have nothing but praise for the guy. This is Solskjær talking about Maguire. He's stuck with it. It's not easy to leave Manchester United because you know it's a downfall almost everywhere you go. You get your money's worth when you're that kind of guy, when you're a good footballer and show that you have a heart for the club. It's been pretty kind there to Harry Maguire. I mean, you'd expect Ole Gunnar Solskjær to rate him. He paid 80 million quid for him. I always felt a bit sorry for Ole as well, because I know it wasn't just that game, but that game against Watford when Maguire got them 2 stupid bookings and got himself sent off, it just wasn't great to see. You saw Ole sort of shaking hands with him as he left, as he got sent off, and I felt sorry for the guy, because it's like, mate, you know, that's your big signing. He's let you down there in the game that proved to be fatal. So he still rates him. The manager rates him as well. The current manager rates him. Harry Maguire having a bit of a renaissance, and long may it continue. A couple of other stories to go through as well. Just on this, on the Maguire front as well. This is in the, I think it's in the Mirror. It says Erik ten Hag has explained Raphael Varane's absence. Get my words out. It's freezing. From the Manchester United starting 11. Let's try again. By heaping praise on his replacement, Harry Maguire. Ten Hag says he took his chance. We were talking about injured players. He took his chance when Rafa was absent. There is internal competition, which is normal in big clubs. When your chance comes, you must seize it, and the others must fight to find their place. So, lots of praise for Harry Maguire, and a bit of an explanation there as to why he's in the team. There's a story here in the Express, and this feels like people putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 347. It says here, Man United swap deal can solve the Jadon Sancho saga and ruin Liverpool's Salah replacement plan. Basically, the story in the Express here is saying that United could get Leroy Sané from Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich reportedly want Raphael Varane, so all roads lead to Raphael Varane. But it's saying here that maybe there could be a swap deal where United let Varane go to the Allianz Arena and we get Leroy Sané as a part of a swap deal. Now, I just don't see this happening. The article goes on to say that Sané is one of the Bundesliga's top scorers this season with 8 goals from 11 league appearances. Also leads to a Mirror article where it was quoted a few years ago when we were linked with him, or a couple of years ago when we were linked with him, where he was basically saying, you know, he wouldn't come to United, or he'd made some sort of comment about being, you know, because he's a City player, his loyalties were there or whatever. It just doesn't feel like this could happen at all. I mean, it makes sense for United if we could get Leroy Sané, play him on the right side. I suppose that would solve some issues, but I don't see it happening at all. I don't see Bayern Munich letting him go. I don't think there's any reason to believe he wants to come to Manchester United. So yeah, that one feels a little bit of a just literal paper talk. Also on paper talk, there's a one on the Independent, and it talks about United are keen to add defenders to our ranks. Jean-Claire Todibo has been linked with us as well as Gonzalo Iñárritu. We know about that. We'll keep you posted if anything happens on that one. Also, it's just a little blurb here, if nothing more, about Pedro Neto, about Manchester United, Arsenal and several Saudi clubs are eager to sign a 23-year-old, but keenness may wane as Wolves demand a fee of at least 60 million quid for Pedro Neto. So we'll have to see what happens on that front. I mean, that's one where we haven't heard a lot about Manchester United being in for Pedro Neto, but some of the other stories do seem a little bit more realistic, including maybe Raphael Varane and Casemiro being on their way out of Manchester United. As always, we'll keep you posted if anything does happen on that front. We've got loads of videos coming up. Me and Steve will be back later on today with the brew, so make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe, and if you've got your gloves, put them on, because my hands are absolutely freezing. This has been Jay Motty. This has been the Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.